Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the AEW review for the 31st. For the 28th of July, 2021. Lots of people saying this is a great show. A couple days removed from it, I'd say there were great parts to the show. There was also a lot of stuff that didn't need to be here and questionable booking decisions overall. Anyway, we opened the show with a Hangman Page video promo played after JR introduces the program. Voiceover talks about the cowboy spirit of Page and the camaraderie with the Dark Order. I still think that Page being a part of the Dark Order's back step for him. He gets a special entrance with a remix of the Page theme. He comes out in accented purple gear. The Elite are called the Elite Squad and introduced like a basketball team in basketball gear. This just reeks of goofiness, and we're trying to be special and we're trying to be different. Anyway, Kenny Air Omega is a call from Justin Roberts. Does that mean that we just need Air because we have to watch him work? Anyway, Don Callis joins on commentary. The Elite, Kenny Omega, Mac Jackson, Nick Jackson, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson defeat Hangman Page and the Dark Order, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds in an elimination tag team match. It's amazing to me that there are people on here that I'm really glad were in the match, and there are people here who I was not. People say this is a fantastic match. If you like this particular style, I guess it is. I'm not a fan of this. If Page's team wins, though, he earns a world championship match. If not, neither the Dark Order or the Hangman get the championship match. Page and Omega face off in the beginning, but Omega immediately runs away. Tags out to Anderson. Fall away slam from Page. Omega attacks from behind, leading to a all-around free-for-all. Dark Order hits a bunch of suplexes. Reynolds and Nick fight on top before Reynolds superplexes Nick onto the other competitors. Reynolds then tags in, but is overpowered by Anderson, leading to the Elite hitting a bunch of clotheslines in the corner. Reynolds avoids the last clothesline from Gallo, leading to Dark Order doing the same to him. Combination of Reynolds and Silver leads to German suplex bridge for near fall. Anderson then rolls up Reynolds in a handful of trunks for a 3 count and the first elimination. Sad because Reynolds is one of the people in the process that I like, but I understand he's not a pushed guy, so they're not doing as much to protect him as I would prefer. Dark Order surrounds Anderson in the ring, leading to Uno and Grayson hitting the fatality, and he gets eliminated. I still don't see the draw of Uno and Grayson, but hey, the crowd likes it, so I just must be out. Anyway, Silver beals Matt around the ring repeatedly, and we go to commercial. Once back, Grayson faces off with Gallows, hitting a Pele kick. Dark Order hits combination offense, 450 splash on Gallows, getting a near fall. Afraid of bunches of moves. Grayson hits a springboard sky twisting press, hard enough to say, even harder to watch, to the floor. He looks like he nailed his head on the floor, which isn't good. Risk for the sake of just TV is completely pointless. Save it for big matches or don't do it at all. Gallows hits, sends him into the crowd, and Grayson climbs a balcony and hits a diving axe handle on Gallows, and they both are counted out for their trouble. Omega and the Bucks are here against Page, Uno, and Silver at this point. I wouldn't mind Page and Silver being left. Uno hits a Rana and a flatliner on Omega for near fall. He climbs up to the top, but Omega gets the knees up and crushes him with a V-trigger. One winged angle follows to eliminate Uno. At least 2 of the people left on the babyface team have future in them. Silver spears Matt and lays in right hands. Matt responds by going after his eyes and hits a running knee bulldog combination and tries to get Page involved, but it doesn't work. Spinning heel kick from Matt leads to another commercial break, this time with no version of picture-in-picture. During the break, the Bucks powerbomb Page on the apron. Why waste that for a break spot? Once back, Silver is in the middle of an insane run of offense. Could have done something with that, and him beating one of the Bucks wouldn't have been bad. Inverted F5 on Matt. Gets a near fall. Silver is overwhelmed by Omega and Nick. Double team, concluding with a hard German suplex. Brandon Cutler, why in the world is he even with the company? Oh yeah, because he's friends with the Bucks, and the Bucks are marks for getting jobs for their friends, even if they deserve them or not. Brings out a basketball hoop, and the Bucks dunk the basketball into a melted driver on the floor. So we basically made a fancy move into a goof spot because, well, hey, it makes people laugh. Awesome. Anyway, they miss the dunk in the beginning. BTE Trigger follows, and they eliminate Silver. 3-on-1 match with Page versus the Young Bucks and Omega. Omega tags in, gives Page a one-on-one fight, and he spits in his face, goes for the V trigger. Page comes back with a running uppercut. The Bucks run in and double super kick him, and they do it again. Omega is on the third for near fall, and then there's a 450 splash by one of the Bucks for a 2 count. Page avoids a V trigger and flips out on the German suplex. He then dispatches the Bucks with a couple of double clotheslines, hitting a moonsault to the outside on all 3. One guy can take out 3 guys. This looks like a real fight. Anyway, Omega hits a big chop back in the ring. Page comes back with a stack powerbomb. The Bucks break up the pin. Matt inadvertently pushes Page into a buckshot lariat position. He fights out, but then Page is able to hit a double buckshot on the Bucks, pinning Matt and eliminating him. Omega then tries to use the belts, but the referee stops him, and then Page avoids a second hit and goes for Deadeye for near fall. Omega avoids buckshot lariat and smashes Page with a belt for another awesome near fall, which admittedly was good. Hits a couple V triggers, and then follows with the one-winged angel on Page, pins him to win the match. I'm not a fan of this. And the reason I'm not a fan of this is I understand you're bringing in better, higher-level talent like Punk and Danielson. I get it. And I'm totally okay with the idea that if you're going to put the belt on one of them and get it off Omega, which real athletes versus Omega would be a much better run, but regardless, it makes sense. However, still giving Page the shot and then having either Punk or Danielson at the pay-per-view cost Page so you give him something to do and the other one can go at Omega is a much better idea than killing Page off. He can still get his heat back and become champion eventually, and one could even argue that him beating Omega at this point with the long-term storyline is just as good as him beating Danielson or Punk in the future. But regardless, I'm not a fan of building up Page for this long only to cut him off just because you have former WWE stars coming in. Anyway, Ricky Starks FTW Championship celebration. Starks comes out and Taz introduces everything. Brass band is brought out and Hook comes out. Starks makes history when he won the title to get rid of Brian Cage. He's been an anchor for the group. Cage is focused on becoming friendly on social media. Cage has been one of the bigger botches in AEW, to be honest. I think he easily, with his look and athleticism, could have been a top guy, and him being stuck in this mid-card feud, not a fan. Anyway, Starks gets his neck broken, and Cage didn't check on him. Cage is selfish and inconsiderate and has no charisma. Cage's music plays, he comes out, he attacks the band members and beats somebody up with a drum. Starks runs away, and Cage wants a fight. Video from Hiroshi Tanahashi of New Japan plays. He says he's challenging the winner of Lance Archer and Hakuto tonight, which is the son of Haku. Anyway, we move into FTR, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, with Tully Blanchard defeating Santana Ortiz with Conan. Ortiz and Wheeler start the match off. They do a bunch of chain wrestling, and then there's a leapfrog spot. Wheeler gets sent to the floor. Harwood and Santana tag in, exchanging strikes. Santana hits Three Amigos, with Ortiz assisting on the third, and then there's an assisted powerbomb on Wheeler. Harwood comes back with a spinebuster leading to a break. Santana goes nuts on FTR, sending Wheeler to the floor, hitting a release back suplex. Harwood gets catapulted into the corner and takes out Wheeler with a great dive. Harwood avoids a diving stomp, and Ortiz blind tags himself in, rolls up Harwood for near fall. Ortiz uses momentum from the kick out to hit Wheeler with a dive, which actually, for the sake of dives, isn't too bad. Ortiz hits a powerbomb followed by a frog splash from Santana. Santana lays in a bunch of chops in the corner. and then hits a German. Big moves follows, concluding with Santana hitting a powerbomb on Harwood for a near fall. Ortiz tags in, but is cradled for a near fall. Harwood sets up a right hand, tries to set up a superplex, but it's stopped. Harwood uses misdirection, hits a DDT on Ortiz, tries to turn it into a cradle, but it doesn't come in together. And Harwood takes out Santana with a baseball slide and hits a sleeper and a brainbuster on Ortiz for the clean win. During this whole fracas, the other member of FTR gets injured and actually has to have his arm taped, sewn, glued, whatever, back together. Britt Baker and Rebel are backstage. She manages to tap out Nyla Rose with a broken wrist. Baker said Rebel needed extra help because everyone's gunning for her. Shivani reveals that a big AEW live event announced for Friday, August 20th. AEW Rampage First Dance will come from the United Center in Chicago. One would assume that's Punk's debut. Darby Allin and Sting backstage. Allin says AEW is where people prove themselves, and even if you're the best in the world, and the implication of CM Punk is there. Lance Archer with Jake Roberts defeats Hakuto with King Haku. Archer immediately boots Hakuto into the corner, hits a bunch of clotheslines, goes for punches in the corner, but Hakuto powers out and hits a power bomb for near fall. Archer comes back with a bunch of forearms, and then there's a power slam from his opponent. They fight to the floor during the commercial. Haku gets involved during the break, sending Archer into the barricade. Once back, Hakuto finally is in control. Archer blindslides him and hits him with a boot, followed by a bunch of strikes. Then a ripcord clothesline. Archer walks the top rope, hits a moonsault, and gets a superplex from the near fall. Archer then hits a blackout in the center of the ring, win and retains the title. We come back. Cody Rhodes is about to be interviewed at the gorilla position, but Mikal Black attacks him. Cody hits a drop-down right hand. Black comes back with a jumping knee on the ramp. Crowd loves Black and hates Cody, so eventually Cody turning heel is at least possible. Anyway, some wrestlers backstage first now come out to break up the fight, and Fuego del Sol and Black kills him with a spinning heel kick. Black has been masterfully booked in these first few weeks. Credit to AEW for doing something WWE couldn't do with a really talented guy. Anyway, Miro talks about Leo Johnson challenging him next week for the TNT Championship. He says Johnson's talented, but nobody can take Miro's divine right away from him, and nobody is ready for the glorious awakening that does await Johnson. Interesting to me that you have a Christian heel. Just strikes me as odd. Anyway, Christian Cage, no pun intended, and the Jurassic Express Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with the fun-sized Marco Stunt, defeating Hardy Family Office, Quinn, Cassidy, and Angelico with Matt Hardy. After what we've just seen in the last couple of matches, I don't understand the placement of this. And honestly, Private Party doesn't even belong on the same show with much of the talent that was already here. Anyway, Christian and Angelico start off. Excalibur points out Christian's place in the rankings, which I think is third if I remember correctly. And there's a double hip toss. Jungle Boy tags in, hits some arm drags and drop kick. Jungle Boy goes to the floor, and Hardy gets a cheap shot. Christian and Stunt chase Hardy all the way to the back, which doesn't make any sense for the purpose of the match. Quinn has control on Jungle Boy, but later escapes. Tags in Luchasaurus, who goes nuts. Hits triple German suplex on all three opponents. That doesn't look contrived or anything. Anyway, Luchasaurus goes for a double choke slam on Private Party, but then they fight out and take him out as well. Christian gets taken out. Jungle Boy hits his rebound discus lariat and takes out Angelico and Quinn before Frog Splash from Luchasaurus and a Frog Splash from Christian, and their team gets the win. Post-match, Blade, who is part of Hardy Family Office, lays out Christian with brass knuckles. Why do you take a guy like Christian, who has limited number of matches left, and waste him with a guy like Blade? Anyway, speaking of a waste, Nick Gage, video packages, he's Deathmatch King, and he said Jericho is going to look in the mirror and know Nick Gage did to him MDK all day. I'm not a fan of deathmatch wrestling. I don't believe it should be sanctioned. As a matter of fact, I believe the U.S. government should get involved and ban it before somebody gets killed. There have been guys that have come close. That being said, if you're going to do this, you might as well get those who are considered the best in the world at it. And from all intents and purposes, for people that like that trash, Gage is considered exactly that. Earlier today, Varsity Blondes cut a promo on Julia Hart and said they'll prove why she's one of the best athletes in the sport. Thunder Rosa said she'd have her first official AEW match since joining the roster, and she can do whatever she wants. Thunder Rosa defeats Julia Hart with the Varsity Blondes. Not necessarily sure why two babyface women are fighting here. Chain wrestling early at the start. Hart isolates Rosa in the corner. Rosa comes back and does the same to her. Hart rolls out and hits a corner drop kick and a cartwheel clothesline. Rosa comes back and goes after the ankle, goes after a knee bar, forcing Hart to reach the ropes for the break. Rosa then hits a corner drop kick and hits a fire thunder driver for the win. Hopefully she's soon back on the road to another Britt Baker match because they were tremendous together at the time. Next week's Dynamite Homecoming from Daly's Place, which I don't understand why they're going back so quick unless they couldn't find another venue for that week. Cody Rhodes, Mikael Black, probably could have built that a little longer. TNT champion Miro and Lee Johnson, I like the underdog aspect to that. The Bunny and Layla Hirsch in an NWA Women's Championship Eliminator match. So the winner of that gets Camille, I think. Christian Cage versus The Blade. What a wasted, as mentioned, match of Christian Cage. John Moxley's backstage. He's upset about not being able to make it to Japan. He said the second that Moxley lost the title, Tanahashi shows up. He said Tanahashi's been avoiding him and dodging him for months. Tanahashi is the only smart one here, he says, and the forbidden door may be opened, but nothing good is waiting on the other side, apparently. MJF joins on commentary for the main event, which is Chris Jericho defeating Nick Gage in a no-rules match. Gage comes out with a pizza cutter and immediately nails Jericho in the arm with it, blood for the sake of blood. Gage hits a spine buster and a face wash kick on the floor. Jericho sends Gage into a barricade. Gage hits a superplex and a Falcon Arrow for near fall. A surprise that Gage can even do two wrestling moves in succession. Anyway, Jericho turns a running boot into a lion tamer. Gage reaches the ropes. Jericho releases it. And back on the floor, Gage dives out, and Jericho face first into the ring post. Jericho then pulls light tubes from under the ring. Jericho has Floyd the Bat and surprised him with it. Jericho's bleeding all over the place unnecessarily. Gage avoids a swing of the bat and hits a choke breaker and then goes for the pizza cutter again, carves Jericho's forehead even worse. During the break, Gage brings a pane of glass and some chairs into the ring, props Jericho below the glass, but Jericho pops up and fights on the top rope. Jericho then hits top rope Rana, sending Gage through the glass. Jericho goes for a code breaker, but Gage catches it and plants Jericho in the glass. Gage then breaks the light tubes over Jericho. Completely pointless for a 50-plus-year-old man to be doing this. Straight pile driver onto the glass follows for a near fall. Gage grabs a shroud of glass and stabs it into Jericho's head repeatedly, a la New Jack, only in a white trash version. Gage grabs two bunches of light tubes and then hits a smash over Jericho's head, but Jericho spits green mist into Gage's face. That was actually fun, although why Jericho's spitting mist, we do not know. And smashes the tubes over his head, hits the Judas effect for the win. As soon as the match ends, MJF grabs the microphone and says that Jericho's labor number 3. Jericho has to hit a move off the top rope to win. He played a video from November 2019 when he brings up Juventud Guerrero in a promo, and MJF announced that Juvi would be Jericho's third opponent to close the show. The Jericho thing as a concept has been fun, stages of Jericho, but at the same time, some of the guys they're bringing in for it are just goofy. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.